I've always had men and women who served alongside me, especially those who suffered more than I ever have. I've always got comments about my face. Some of them were harsh, and to be honest, I didn't handle it well. I was new to being in the public eye, and I didn't know how to handle the criticism. Instead of facing that right away, I made a bad decision and put IED survivor in my bio. That was not true, and it was wrong. All I can do is be honest with you guys going forward and let my actions speak for myself over time.
When you really look at what's happening, is it just as simple as, oh, he lied? Oh, he made a mistake? It's not, because it goes deeper than that. Did he lie? Yes. Did he make a mistake? Yes. But it goes deeper because of the type of mistake that he made and what he decided to tell the world. And another thing that I want to say while I have the opportunity is, you guys know that I love and respect the TTD crew over at Diamond Gym, but I also have their followers come into the channel and say, this is how the Army trains. This is how the Army trains. You should show respect for these guys. Don't you dare compare what they're doing in that gym, where that gym has an entrance door and an exit door, okay? Don't you compare what they're doing in that gym to what the Army does, because the Army doesn't always have an exit door. Don't do it. How dare you compare a gym to the Army? How dare you? That is disgusting and despicable. And many people who have had actual problems to cause them to look a certain way will get judged. Many people won't understand. They can't put themselves in the places of people who've gotten hurt in reality, who've really gotten hurt, and who look a certain way because of their injuries, and they will judge them harshly, and they will tease them. Don't go teasing anybody for the way they look. You don't understand what they're doing to their mind, what you're doing to them emotionally. Just leave people alone and have enough respect for others to understand that everybody's different. And it ain't about what's on the outside, it's about what's on the inside. Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Excited to be here today. Today we're going to be discussing my thoughts on this whole Malibu Fit Maxx dude. I don't know if you guys have come across his content. I never knew about him until recently. I saw a video that Scott Herman did on him.
Somebody in the YouTube fitness space with the balls to own their shit when they make a mistake. And now listen, I know not every single one of you is going to forgive Malibu, because stolen valor is a very serious thing. On a scale of 1 to 100, it's like 102. It's just something that you don't do. Now, I'm not saying that he didn't serve and he was in Afghanistan. He was. But unfortunately, Malibu put in his profile that he was a survivor of an IED blast. If you're willing to lie about the dumbest shit, what else are you lying about?
You guys all know how much I love Scott. I think he's fantastic. Excellent information for years and years and years. I respect his thoughts and his opinions on things. And so I watched his video, got a little bit of context. You guys immediately told me in the post that you'd like to hear my thoughts on Malibu Fit Maxx. So that's what we're going to be doing today. Now, because I have not done a ton of research on this guy, but I do know what's going on because I'm caught up, we're going to be discussing Solomon Nelson's video. You guys might recall Solomon Nelson. We've reacted to some of his content in the past. Solomon Nelson is a fantastic, what I would call, journalist. He takes the time to get very accurate information. We're going to be reacting to the video that he recently posted called "The Fitness Influencer Who Faked a Combat Injury, Malibu Fit Maxx." All right, that's what we are going to be reacting to today. This is a very touchy subject. There's a lot of, I think, divide on this particular subject. I am going to give you my honest opinions and thoughts on this entire thing, but I am going to tell you right now, I am not looking to cause division on this channel. You guys have your opinions. You guys know that I do Diamond Gym reaction content, and some of you guys love it. Most of you guys on the channel love it. Some people, they get in the comments, they start getting nasty and angry. Look, you guys have your opinions. You have the right to your opinions, and I welcome your opinions in the comments. If I say something that pisses somebody off, offends somebody, just know that I was not trying to do so. And I'm trying to come at this from a very neutral standpoint, because I feel like that's the fair thing to do. I don't want to take everybody else's opinions and just parrot them. I want to break down what I see happening and give you my honest thoughts. So let's get into it now. Today we're going to be hanging out with myself and Solomon Nelson discussing Malibu Fit Maxx.
If you've been anywhere near the fitness industry recently, then you've likely come across Lee Markham, better known as Malibu Fit Maxx. Lee built a massive online platform with a rapid ascent to over 1 million followers. Lee established himself as a prominent figure who grew an audience that looked up to his fitness content and his military background. However, recently, Lee has been under fire for lying about a highly sensitive subject. He claims he survived an IED blast to the face. For those who might not be familiar, an IED, or improvised explosive device, is a homemade bomb constructed from scavenged components that's responsible for some of the most devastating injuries and fatalities in modern combat, which is exactly why claiming to be a survivor of such a blast carries so much weight and compels immediate sympathy and respect. Here's how we're going to break down the situation today. In Chapter 2, I'll give an overview of the exact nature of Lee's lie. I'll trace it from a drunken fall in Korea to a fabricated war story in Afghanistan. Chapter 3 will cover Lee's apology, going over his recent admission of guilt to examine what he said and the reasoning he provided for deceiving his audience. From there, Chapter 4 will provide a critical analysis of that apology. In Chapter 5, I'll critically analyze the ethical fallout more broadly. I'll look at the real cost of stolen valor, the monetization of Lee's lie, and his community's reaction. Finally, I'll conclude in Chapter 6.
All right, so we got a great overview by Solomon over here. We can see that this Malibu Fit Maxx character has claimed in the past to have been in the Army, and that's been substantiated. But his claim of getting blasted by an explosive device to the face was false. So we can start the video out talking about this. Now, I just want to say something before we move forward. The fact that this dude was in the Army, there's a lot of reasons why people go into the Army. Some people go into the Army out of desperation. Some people, I think many people, go into the Army out of love for their country and their fellow man. And they feel that this is a good way to give back to their country, to stand up for their country, and to show support. Okay? So I don't know why Malibu Fit Maxx, this guy Lee Markham, I'll just call him Malibu from moving forward. I don't know why Malibu would have went into the Army. Okay? I don't know his purpose. I don't know his reason. But I can tell you something. I have family who's been in the Army and who is in the Army. And I have to say that when you go in the Army, you go overseas, you see things and you do things. I don't know his history. Again, Malibu's history. We're going to find out in this video. But I want to say it's very likely that he has a lot of problems. He has a lot of trauma, likely. And that might not make him think straight. That might not make him think right. I'm assuming when he went to the Army, they checked him mentally and physically to see whether or not he was capable of being a soldier for the country. So if those checks came out right when he went into the Army, he was fine. But the things that soldiers see, they change them sometimes, okay? So again, I don't know what he's seen or what he's not seen. I just wanted to throw that out there. Let's get back to it.
Before we dive into the timeline, I want to take a moment to credit the investigator who brought all of this to light. The legwork and the retrieval of the official military documents you're about to see were all spearheaded by John Dorsey, known online as Goob. I want to thank him for his investigation. For a significant period of Lee Markham's rapid rise to internet fame, He marketed himself as a combat veteran who had endured unimaginable hardship. If you looked at his Instagram profile just a few weeks before this controversy reached its boiling point, his biography proudly and prominently featured the phrase, "survivor of IED to the face."
I have to interject because your guys are here for my reaction, right? So forgive me if I don't play the video for too long. Many people say, Joe, let the video play longer. If I let it play longer, I won't remember what I have to say. Something that I find interesting here off the bat is that you have Malibu's old Instagram profile there, and it shows survivor of an IED blast to the face. And it's got a little explosion mark next to it. Automatically, that makes me feel like he ain't taking that too seriously. I just feel like that's the case. I mean, that's ridiculous, right? To put a little explosion next to your face. Maybe you're trying to make light of something. We're going along with if this was real. If it was real, I don't think he would take that so lightly. That's something you take seriously. You don't go putting little emojis next to things you take seriously most of the time. Most of the time.
Lee actively reinforced this narrative in the comment sections of his viral videos. In one instance, when attempting preemptively to shut down criticism regarding his physical appearance, he wrote, "Before you judge a face, please read this. I survived an IED to the face while serving overseas. I rebuilt in the gym." This wasn't just some recent social media invention hastily thrown together to deflect TikTok trolls either. The roots of this specific claim date back over a decade. A news reporter recounted a conversation with Lee where he explicitly stated that his military discharge in 2010 occurred after an improvised explosive device blew up in his face while he was deployed in Afghanistan.
The fact that this guy had to put on his Instagram page in general and in the comments stating that before you judge a face, that's what it said right there, before you judge a face, I'm an IED survivor. You can probably guess that this guy has been tortured for his entire life for his appearance. And that sucks. That really sucks. I get people who tease me all the time. People are always saying, Joe, you're bald. I'm not bald, by the way. I've shown you guys my hair a million times. I just shave my head. But Joe, you're bald. Joe, your teeth are too white. Joe, you're this. Joe, you're that. No matter what Joe is, I gotta say I don't look like Malibu. And I must be honest. I know this might come across as harsh. I'm very glad I don't. The guy does not have that much, in my opinion, of an attractive face. I actually used to work with a dude who looked almost just like Malibu, and I never judged him on his face. But he knew he wasn't the most attractive guy. He used to make fun of it on himself. He used to joke on himself all the time. And I used to tell him, look, dude, don't put yourself down, all right? It is what it is. We're all stuck. You know, I'm 5'6", guys. I'm 5'6". I ain't gonna go try to pretend I'm not. You know what I'm saying? So sometimes, you know, we have low opinions of ourselves. And this guy's likely been teased and bullied for his entire friggin' life, including in the army, very likely. All right? I'm going to assume his face used to look like this back in the day when he was a kid. All right? Honestly, though, he looks like he's gotten face surgery. That's my opinion. Honestly, to me, he is very reminiscent of Mickey Rourke. I don't know if you guys know Mickey Rourke, but I do believe that after boxing and after a ton of facial surgery to try to probably repair what the boxing did to him, his face was all screwed up. And this dude Malibu's face reminds me of someone who's gotten tons of surgery, filler, and stuff like that. Whether that's true or not, I have no clue. I have not seen his childhood photos, and very likely he's gone out of his way to hide childhood photos, because if those childhood photos showed him looking the same way, that would be a dead giveaway as to how he did not have surgery to fix from an explosion. So I'm just going to assume he's hidden those photos, and I'm also going to assume he's probably not had surgery. I'm just going to assume it. So the guy's probably been teased his entire life. His brain's already screwed up. He's got a low self-esteem. And putting yourself out there online, that's his choice. But you got to understand at the same time, when you put yourself online, you're opening yourself up to scrutiny. Like I said, I get beat up in the comments all day for how I look. Joe, you're too small. Joe, your teeth. Joe, your hair. Joe, you're this. Joe, you're that. Why is your beard so shiny? And all this crap. And then you got a whole bunch of amazing people. Kudos to you guys, by the way. Thank you for supporting this channel and showing me the love, because you do, and you don't have to, but you do, and I love and respect you guys. You got a whole bunch of people out there who also support and say, don't listen to these haters. They're all jealous, blah, 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 blah. So just keep in mind, this guy probably has a lifetime of trauma and issues stemming from the way he looks. And should it be that way? Absolutely freaking not. We cannot control many of the times how we look. And I think it's disgusting. Back when I was a kid, I used to get bullied about my weight. I was overweight for almost my entire life. And when I was a kid, I used to get bullied so bad because of my weight. Screwed me up big time. So just keep that in mind. I'm not saying that anything is right or wrong here. I'm just pointing out what could be the facts.
The first glaring inconsistencies appeared when examining Lee's activities in the months immediately following this supposedly devastating combat injury. If a soldier suffers a blast to the face severe enough to warrant a medical discharge in 2010, then you'd logically expect a prolonged period of medical recovery, reconstructive surgery, and rehabilitation. Yet public records show that on the 17th of June 2010, Lee Markham was on stage competing in a bodybuilding show, placing third in the lightweight category. Further, in October of that same year, he was filmed delivering a speech at a church event. During this 15-minute address, he spoke at length about his time in the military and his deployment to Afghanistan.
After my 5-year application with the U.S. Army, in Afghanistan, it was quite literal. I was surrounded by evil. There's death, rape.
He described an environment surrounded by evil, death, famine, and destruction, and he stated to the audience, "I could die right here."
We just went over an old video where Malibu was talking at a church event about his time in the Army. Death, destruction, the R word, a whole bunch of stuff that he saw and lived through apparently. And what he didn't mention, according to Solomon, because I did not personally watch this video, I'm watching Solomon's video. Solomon is very thorough. He did not mention getting an IED blast. My brain always wants to say IUD. Sorry about that. I don't want to be the next Greg Doucette. But at the end of the day, an IED blast to the face. He does not mention it. So what I would go out on a limb to say is, very likely, if he was not lying about that back then, what he was saying in that church video that he was doing was likely the truth. Okay? He wasn't lying about the other thing, about his face. So I'm going to assume the other stuff was true. Keep that in mind moving forward. The guy might have seen stuff, very likely has seen stuff, has lived through stuff that makes him not maybe all there. Okay? So just throw that into the mix and kind of digest that a little bit.
Astoundingly, despite leaning heavily into his combat experience to captivate the church audience, he made absolutely no mention of surviving an IED blast to the face, which is an omission that makes little logical sense if the event had genuinely occurred and forced his recent discharge from the army. Lee Markham had also publicly stated on social media that he served with the 293rd Military Police Company. The US military keeps meticulous, unclassified records of unit deployments, casualties, and injuries, especially for homecoming press releases. When the 293rd Military Police Company returned from their deployment in 2010, local news articles thoroughly documented the unit's sacrifices to honor those who served. The reports explicitly named the single casualty sustained during the tour, Staff Sergeant Christopher Rudzinski, who was tragically killed in action. Crucially, the article also specifically listed the names of the 3 soldiers who were seriously wounded in support of Operation Enduring Freedom. First Lieutenant Bergen Flanagan, PFC Michael Araujo, and PFC Stephen Markham. Lee Markham's name was completely absent from this definitive historical list of wounded personnel. To ensure that this wasn't just an Israeli clerical error by a local journalist, John Dorsey claims to have taken the extra step of contacting actual veterans who served in the 293rd Military Police Company during that specific deployment. According to John, when presented with photos of Lee, none of the unit members remembered him getting injured.
Now, in my investigation, I have spoken to several members that were in the 293rd Military Police Company. None of them remember Lee Markham. I showed them photos. They were aware of who he was on social media, but they did not remember serving with this guy, and none of them remembered him getting injured. And now in one of the phone calls, a FaceTime that I had with somebody that was in the 293rd and had deployed on that deployment, when I asked about people that were injured, he immediately rattled off all 4 names, the injuries and days that they were injured, to crazy detail. And I said, how do you know? How are you so specific about this? And he told me, when somebody gets hurt, it's a big deal.
As John recounts from a reported FaceTime call with one of the veterans, an injury to a fellow soldier is a massive, unforgettable event. When a service member is wounded, the unit initiates mental health counselling for the team and holds ceremonies to award Purple Hearts upon their return. It's a shared trauma that's permanently burned into the memories of those who were there. According to John, the veteran on the call was immediately able to rattle off the names and the exact days of injury for the 4 personnel who were actually hurt on that deployment, with staggering specific detail. John states that nobody remembered Lee Markham taking an IED to the face. Armed with these glaring discrepancies, John reached out directly to Lee via text message, offering him a clear, private opportunity to set the record straight and provide the context that was seemingly missing from the public record.
Major trauma would have come from a man or woman who was in the Army getting hurt. As was just mentioned, it's a very serious thing because these people are like a family. Now, I'm not saying there's full peace within the platoon or within the group on the tour in general. I'm not saying there's full peace amongst these people, but at the end of the day, is there full peace amongst your family at home? Likely not. You know what I mean? I wish the best for all of you. But we can all be honest and say, family, there's that expression, you can pick your friends, you can't pick your family. You might have love for people, but you may not get along with them. So I'm not saying that they were, not teasing him for his face. I'm not saying that, people didn't have problems, people weren't picked on, bad things didn't happen. I'm not saying that. But what I am saying is for a majority of the time, I'm going to assume these men and women are like family and they care about one another to a very large degree. And when one person gets hurt, everybody gets hurt. I don't particularly like or appreciate or respect too much Jeff Nippard. You guys know that. I've done some videos on Jeff Nippard in the past. There's many reasons that I'm not going to get into. If you want, you can check those videos out. Many reasons I'm not going to get into as to why I don't really like or respect him or appreciate his content. But I can tell you that I recently heard through the grapevine, in fact, Scott Herman told me just the other day when we were talking on the phone that his girlfriend died. I don't know much about it. You guys can let me know in the comments. But despite the fact that I'm not close with Jeff, I was telling Scott, I'm thinking about doing a video on it, if that's the case. Not because I want to make money, but because I want to show some kind of support, even though I don't necessarily like the guy. Because when you lose someone or someone gets hurt that you love and care about, I think it's a normal feeling to have compassion. You know what I mean? You may not like somebody, but you find something bad happens to them or their loved ones, and you want to show compassion. You want to show love. I've decided not to make that video because Scott and I were talking, and I know that even if my videos are not monetized, like I don't actively try to get money from ads, YouTube will put ads on the videos, and that will look terrible. And so I'm not trying to make money off talking about that. I don't want it to appear like I am, even if it's, if YouTube puts ads on the video and YouTube's making money off it, I don't think people should be profiting off that. So if it's true that his girlfriend recently passed, if it's true that this has happened, my heart goes out to Jeff. I don't care if I like the guy or not. It doesn't matter. You don't want to see this happening to anybody. So the fact that this guy claimed that he had a blast to the face and got injured is a huge offense to the people who actually were injured. It's a huge offense for the people who have actually dealt with the trauma. It's disgusting. It's disgusting. Toying with people's emotions when real people have gotten hurt in the past, it is absolutely sickening.
The message sent was straightforward. Had someone send me a question about your service, told them I'd ask you directly. What's the story on that? When exactly were you wounded and on what deployment? If Lee's story were true, then this would be the moment to clarify the unit, the date, and the location of the blast to clear his name easily. Instead, he completely ignored the direct questions about his injuries and replied, "We are filming a documentary to be released next month. All this stress from this stuff is making it worse now. Back on the meds just to sleep." When confronted with an opportunity to provide a factual defense, it looks as if Lee attempted to use his mental health as a shield against legitimate inquiries into his public claims. When pressed further for the truth, with John pointing out that a simple explanation could clear everything up and offering to amplify his side of the story if it were true, Lee continued to play the victim. He texted back, "Appreciate it, bro, but I'm struggling already. Every night is a struggle to sleep again, and it's so overwhelming. Dealing with my last videographer, and now I'm down to hardly any content. I'm a positive guy, but damn, it's getting difficult, bro." Lee was completely unwilling to stand by his IED survivor claim when challenged by someone equipped with the capacity to verify military records.
First thing I notice is the guy goes out of his way to play up what may or may not be true about his mental health, hoping that the gentleman, Goob was it, who was investigating him would feel bad for him and stop the investigation. And while Goob, if I recall that's his name correctly, forgive me if I'm wrong, while Goob goes ahead and is giving him an opportunity to substantiate what's going on, not only is he playing up that mental and emotional aspect of things, but he has the audacity to say, under such a serious circumstance of checking this information, that he's having problems with his videographer and that he has hardly any content. These are what you're thinking about, that you have hardly any content and you're having problems with your videographer? Meanwhile, you claim in the previous message that you're filming a documentary. What do you mean you have hardly any content? If you were filming a documentary, what do you mean by you don't have any content? That makes no sense to me. That makes no sense. And Goob is clearly trying to substantiate this stuff, which would end up bringing you more content, bringing you more praise, and bringing you more publicity if it was true. So we can see that this was a very desperate attempt to knock down what was going on and continue to cover up a lie instead of just, coming clean about it when he had the chance. That would have been the brightest thing.
Instead of standing firm on an actual argument grounded in reality, Lee effectively confirmed through his silence that the foundation of his internet persona was built on a fabrication. The definitive proof that dismantled Lee's narrative entirely, however, came from his own official military documents. John was able to obtain Lee's DD-214, which is the official certificate of release or discharge from active duty, as well as his detailed medical records. The DD-214 confirmed some basic truths about his service. Lee Peter Markham did indeed serve on active duty from September 2005 to September 2010, and he was deployed to Afghanistan from July 2009 to July 2010 with the 293rd Military Police Company. However, the most critical section of a DD-214, when verifying claims of combat trauma, is the decorations, medals, badges, citations, and campaign ribbons block. When reviewing Lee's list of general awards and medals on his DD-214, the Purple Heart is entirely and glaringly absent.
In his decorations, medals, and badges, right up here, it does not mention a Purple Heart. He has a lot of general awards and medals here, but he does not have a Purple Heart, which is something that you would expect to see there if he were wounded in combat and took an IED to the face.
The final revelation was found in his military medical records. John Dorsey was able to locate the exact incident report detailing the facial trauma Lee had exploited for online sympathy. The medical document, dated 13th of November 2006, contradicted Lee's claims of being wounded in Afghanistan. In 2006, Lee was not in a war zone. He was stationed in South Korea. The report details a 26-year-old male patient presenting with a chipped front tooth, lip, and forehead laceration from fall. The cause of the fall wasn't an insurgent's bomb hidden in the dirt roads of Afghanistan. The official medical record explicitly notes the true, mundane reason for his facial trauma. A friend reports that patient was drinking and fell near Camp Coiner, his barracks. The report further details that he lost consciousness after taking this drunken tumble. The stark contrast between the violent imagery of an improvised explosive device tearing through a military convoy and the pedestrian reality of a soldier having too much to drink and falling on his face outside his barracks is comic in a macabre kind of way.
Solomon brought out the fact that this gentleman, Malibu, did have awards and medals generalized. You know, he didn't get into what specifically they were. But the fact is, I guess, that he was a decent soldier, right? Unless they just hand those things out to people and it's kind of like a normal thing. I don't think that would be the case, but you guys let me know in the comments. I'm sure you have better information than me. So we can assume that he has been recognized for some good work, right? But at the same time, he's stationed over in Korea, was it? And he's getting blackout drunk while he's over in Korea. Now, we've all likely got blackout drunk. I know I have. And it's not really indicative. Like, I remember one time I was out, I was a kid, you know, but alcohol's been a constant thing throughout my life, you know, major alcohol abuse in my history. And when I was a kid, I was probably around 18, 17 years old, maybe 17 years old. I actually got drunk, like blackout drunk, while I was out with some friends. We were ice skating. There was no reason for me to get drunk, but me and my old buddy there, Mike, we were out drinking while all these other people are trying to have a nice time. You know, it was kind of like more of a family event, family and friends event. And me and him were getting like blasted. So ridiculous. But find out the next day that when I woke up at home, I had no clue how I got home. I had a gash across my face. I didn't know where my wallet was. I didn't know where my keys were. I was just like, what's going on? Where am I? Where's all my stuff? I went directly to the bank. I stood there for 4 hours waiting for them to open. Got in there, canceled all my credit cards, canceled my bank card and all this stuff just for me to go home later on in the day, dehydrated, exhausted, pounding hangover, to find that I stashed all my stuff in my underwear drawer. Because I guess I was afraid that someone would break in into the night and take my stuff while I was like drunk. You know, you get paranoid when you're not thinking straight and you're drinking or whatever, right? All that to be said, the one memory I remember from that night is a little girl who was with our group. She must have been about 8 years old, was asking my friend, who was probably about 17 years old, asking my friend, why is he doing this? Why is he like this? And my friend said, he's not happy. He's not happy. She could not have been more correct about that. So many of us look for solace in a bottle. Many of us look to forget our problems. We've all been through traumas. We've all had issues in our lives. And many times we try to self-medicate even when we don't know that we're self-medicating. So I'm not saying that he couldn't have just been going out, partying, acting stupid, because that happens too. But it could also be that the guy's trying to forget his life. And so that goes back to the fact that we all, tell me in the comments, am I wrong? We all have trauma. We have all been screwed up. This world is insane. So I'm not making excuses for him, but I'm just saying to keep that in mind. Why was he blackout drunk? Is he happy? Did he and does he hate his life? Does he hate who he is? Can he not stand to look in the mirror because of the constant reminder of what he looks like if it's affected him that much? You see what I'm saying? So just want to throw that out there.
So to recap, Lee Markham didn't survive an IED blast to the face while serving overseas. He got intoxicated at his barracks in Korea in 2006, he fell over, and he chipped his tooth. Years later, he made the calculated decision to rebrand that alcohol-induced accident. He concocted a plausible story to make himself seem more heroic and glamorous, which built a huge online following. In doing so, he stole the valor and trauma of actual combat victims.
Now, I'm glad that Solomon specifically brought this up. He stole the valor of actual combat victims, because I feel like not many people understand the depth of that. A lot of the people, not all the people obviously, but a lot of the people who are going to be watching fitness-related content are likely, well, you got a good mix. All I know is I get hit up all day by younger people, okay? I've had older gentlemen and older women hit me up in the DMs, but tons of young people asking me questions, asking me for help with their life in general, not just training, asking me for advice and things like that. And I try my best to help. I really do. I genuinely do. They're being lied to on a daily basis through the screen by people who have claims of this is how you need to train, this is what you need to do to be a man, blah, 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 all this crap, right? So I try my best to help. And so the reason I bring this up is because many young people won't understand what the stolen valor idea, concept is. You're taking real men and women's traumas and you're stealing that trauma and putting it on yourself, acting like you've been through a lot. So when you really look at what's happening, is it just as simple as, oh, he lied? Oh, he made a mistake? It's not, because it goes deeper than that. Did he lie? Yes. Did he make a mistake? Yes. But it goes deeper because of the type of mistake that he made and what he decided to tell the world. It adds a whole nother layer that many younger people are not going to understand. So that's why I'm elaborating on this. And another thing that I want to say while I have the opportunity is, you guys know that I love and respect the TTD crew over at Diamond Gym. Hadi, Unk. I may not respect what they do, but I think they're good guys. And I think they believe in the message that they're trying to speak about. You got a whole bunch of people looking to them. You see throughout Hadi and Unk's videos, they're given wisdom, quote unquote wisdom. I'm saying quote unquote because I don't necessarily think what they share is wisdom. If you think it is, that's great, no problem. Different things resonate to different people. But the fact remains that I don't personally find that to be what they say to be any type of like profound wisdom. And I feel like they're influencing a ton of people with their quote unquote wisdom, okay? And I think it could be dangerous. I know it can be dangerous. I know it can be dangerous. So that's why I've told them in the past, guys, please consider the younger audience that you have. At one point, it looked like they started to listen, and now it looks like they just leaned into what they were doing. I get it. That's your content. That's your choice. You can do what you like as you see fit. But I do respect those guys. But I also have their followers come into the channel and say, this is how the Army trains. This is how the Army trains. You should show respect for these guys. This is how the Army trains. First of all, I bet you none of those people telling me that were in the Army. Because if they were, they would be saying I was in the Army. And this is how the Army trains. And these guys need to be respected. They would be saying that. Second of all, that is not how the Army trains. The Army needs to be in good physical condition in order to do what they are doing. What Hadi and Unk over there at Diamond Gym do, they tell you it's simply strictly for your mentality. It's not going to help build you up. It's going to literally break your body down. They tell you that in the description of their video. Thankfully, they go that far to tell you that. So I've said on multiple occasions, don't you dare compare what they're doing in that gym, where that gym has an entrance door and an exit door. Okay? Don't you compare what they're doing in that gym to what the Army does. Because the Army doesn't always have an exit door. Don't do it. How dare you compare a gym to the Army? How dare you? That is disgusting and despicable. And I'm sure a lot of those people have no clue what they're saying, and that's fine. But I'm trying to dispel that ignorance right now. Don't you ever compare what they do to what the Army does. That's disgusting. I remember one time in one of the videos, we had some Army guys come in because for some reason they wanted to train with Diamond Gym, right? So they came in on some day passes and they said, oh, you're from the Army over there, whatever platoon, whatever barracks, whatever station. You're from over there? They said, yes, sir. And then some of the dudes from Diamond Gym, not sure who it was, they proceeded to make light of that.
Yo, who are these two dudes? Where y'all from? West Point. Huh? West Point.
Military?
Academy.
The best of the best of the best. Sir, with honors.
Yes, sir. Stay right there.
Oh, sir, yes, sir. Blah, 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 blah. It shows you that they have no clue. And I don't know who said that because the camera wasn't focusing on the person who said that. But they made light of the fact that these guys from the Army came to train with them. How dare you make light of that? The fact that they're spending their time in your gym to train the way you prescribe is enough goofiness to show that you've reached the public eye in general and hypnotized them with what they think is good training or mental toughness. But the fact that you had the audacity to tease them, to make light of the way they chose to live their life, very likely to glorify the country that they live in, how dare you? So I just wanted to get that out of the way.
In a direct response video to his audience, Lee Markham addressed the fabricated claims regarding his military record. He began the video by clarifying his actual military timeline, stating, I did serve between 2005 and 2010.
For anything else, I want to be clear. I did serve between 2005 and 2010.
Lee then explained his reasoning for the fabrication. He attributed his actions to online scrutiny over his physical appearance. He explained, I've always got comments about my face and appearance.
I've always got comments about my face and appearance. Some of them were harsh, and to be honest, I didn't handle it well. I was new to being in the public eye, and I didn't know how to handle the criticism. Instead of facing that right away, I made a bad decision and put IED survivor in my bio.
He further noted that some of them were harsh, and to be honest, he didn't handle it well. Lee claimed that his sudden fame contributed to the lie, stating that he was new to being in the public eye and that he didn't know how to handle the criticism. Addressing the core allegation, Lee confessed to his viewers, instead of facing that right away, I made a bad decision and put IED survivor in my bio. He explicitly admitted the combat injury was fabricated, stating, that was not true and it was wrong.
That was not true and it was wrong.
Lee formally apologized to his audience, saying, truly, I'm sorry from the bottom of my heart.
Truly, I'm sorry from the bottom of my heart.
He acknowledged the breach of faith with his community, stating, I take full responsibility for it.
I take full responsibility for it.
He concluded the apology video by noting that trust is earned, it's not owed.
Trust is earned, it's not owed.
And he promised to let his actions speak for himself moving forward.
Going forward and let my actions speak for myself over time.
Malibu mentioned that he's always been teased and bullied about his face. And then Solomon makes the connection that he says that's why he put that information into his Instagram. That this is what happened to me. So he can preemptively shut up anybody who wants to continue to tease him about his face. Again, we should not be teasing people, in my opinion. You let me know what you think in the comments about the way they look. We should not be teasing people about how big they are, strong they are, what their hair looks like, what their eyes look like, what their chin looks like, what their nose looks like. We should not be doing it. And many people, when you're younger, you do that. But hopefully as you get older, you kind of understand that that's not the right thing to do, okay? We weren't chosen with the features that we have. Has he screwed up his face with surgery? Who the heck knows? I have no idea. It definitely looks like he's got filler in his face. Who the heck knows? I have no clue. Maybe he just genuinely looks like that. Because again, I worked with a dude who looked like that. And he was not taking filler. Trust me. Dude was in a construction site. He wasn't doing no trying to beautify himself. Okay. He was just a mess. So, not because of the way he looked, but in general, he was just like the person that he was. But the dude might have gotten surgeries, maybe not. But at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. You shouldn't be teasing people about the way they look. It ain't cool because people can't choose the way they look. And many people who have had actual problems to cause them to look a certain way will get judged. Many people won't understand. They can't put themselves in the places of people who've gotten hurt in reality, who've really gotten hurt, and who look a certain way because of their injuries, and they will judge them harshly, and they will tease them. Just make it a blanket statement. Don't go teasing anybody for the way they look. You don't understand what they're doing to their mind, what you're doing to them emotionally. Just leave people alone and have enough respect for others to understand that everybody's different. And it ain't about what's on the outside. It's about what's on the inside.
As we covered in the previous chapter, Lee Markham framed his decision to lie as a momentary lapse in judgment. He constructed a narrative for his audience that the lie was a recent, impulsive reaction to a sudden influx of harsh online scrutiny regarding his appearance as his fitness platform exploded in popularity. He attempted to elicit sympathy by presenting himself as a man who panicked under the novel pressure of internet fame and hastily invented a traumatic backstory to deflect trolls. However, this excuse doesn't wash. As John's investigation revealed, this fabrication wasn't a recent or isolated incident triggered by social media bullies. John uncovered a news article from an American Library Association dated 2016. In this 2016 article, Lee Markham is interviewed. Long before he ever possessed 1 million followers or faced a barrage of TikTok comments, he told the reporter that he was a 35-year-old Army veteran who was discharged in 2010 after an IED blew up in his face in Afghanistan. He even added the specific fabricated detail to the journalist that the blast forced him to undergo dental reconstruction. This invalidates the core defense of Lee's apology. The claim that he simply made a bad decision recently because he didn't know how to handle sudden online criticism is demonstrably false. The reality is that Lee had been actively pitching this fabricated story of catastrophic combat trauma to the press a full decade before his social media platform ever took off.
So Malibu was telling people well in advance of him ever getting popular online that he had to get dental reconstruction. He had a bomb blow up in his face and all this stuff. Now, there could be multiple reasons why he was doing this. One of the reasons could be because he was trying to puff himself up and make him look like a hero. The other reason could be because he was just so tired of being bullied throughout his entire life that he needed an excuse, and he thought, you know what, this is the perfect excuse. I served my time. I did something for my country. I got some medals and awards. I'm not that bad of a guy. I deserve to just ride off of the stolen valor that others have. Or it could be a combination of both. Maybe he loved promoting that he was a hero, and it was a good way to save face. But based on his YouTube comments that were recently cited, it seems like he was just concerned about people bashing him about his looks. Just imagine waking up every single day of your life having people judge you by the way you look. It is a horrible and disgusting thing. I can't imagine the trauma that he's likely had. Not condoning what he did, just saying that if it's true that he's looked like this his entire life, or for a large majority of his life, the man probably has a reason why he was getting blackout drunk. The man probably has a reason why he went to the army. The man probably has a reason to want to try to hide behind the stolen valor or the valor of others, okay? Not excusing him for his actions, just stating what could be the truth.
It's irksome and manipulative to build a massive platform on the foundation of stolen valor over trauma that you didn't suffer, and then attempt to minimize a 10-year history of deception into a singular, recent misstep born of mere self-consciousness.
Solomon mentions he did all this out of mere self-consciousness. Now, while that is true, it seems like he did this out of mere self-consciousness. Again, Solomon is, I would go out on a limb. You guys let me know what you think in the comments. The guy is probably a tall, handsome young man. The guy don't look funny to me. The guy looks like he's an attractive dude. The guy looks like he takes care of himself. And he did nothing, very likely, to have the face that he has. The face that you have is what you show to the world. There's a reason why people get reconstructive surgeries on their face after accidents. It's because they want to try to have some normalcy in their life and some resemblance of normality, so that when they face somebody, those people that they're facing don't judge them beyond what, for only what they see on the outside. Because many people won't give you the time of day to learn who you are on the inside. So mere self-consciousness, I would not go out on a limb to say that, Solomon, unless you actually lived through it. I would not go out on a limb and say it was mere self-consciousness. Self-consciousness, yes, he was self-conscious. But have you lived the man's life? Have you walked in his footsteps? Have you dealt with the problems he's dealt with? Likely not. Likely not. You've been blessed, my man, looking very handsome and attractive. I would kill to look like Solomon. The guy is blessed. He had nothing to do with the way he looks. Okay? Beyond cutting his hair a certain way, choosing the glasses he picks, having the beard or whatever. So, just throwing that in there. You guys let me know what you think.
Lee's excuse doesn't wash because it is, in itself, a continuation of the manipulation. We've established the timeline, we've reviewed the official military documents, and we've deconstructed the apology. But simply to point out that Lee Markham lied and leave it at that would be an incomplete analysis. Let's begin with stolen valor, which I'll define as the fraudulent appropriation of military experiences, honors, or status for personal gain. When we discuss stolen valor, we can't view it merely as a victimless crime or a harmless exaggeration on a resume. It's more upsetting than that, and for a good reason. When influencers fabricate severe combat trauma, they effectively commodify the genuine, agonizing suffering of actual service members. While Lee was later busy lying about taking an IED to the face, real men from his deployment were bleeding. We have to remember Staff Sergeant Christopher Rudzinski, who was tragically killed in action during that exact tour. We have to remember First Lieutenant Bergen Flanagan, Private First Class Michael Araujo, and Private First Class Stephen Markham, the three soldiers who were genuinely, seriously wounded in support of Operation Enduring Freedom. When you survive an IED, your life is forever clearly divided into two chapters. before the blast and after. The reality for actual survivors most likely involves traumatic brain injuries, grueling reconstructive surgeries, chronic pain, and a lifetime of invisible psychological scars. It's a devastating, lifelong reality. To contrast that with Lee's decision, taking an incident where he got drunk, fell over, and chipped a tooth outside his barracks in Korea, and rebranding it as combat trauma in Afghanistan for social clout, is morally reprehensible. It's a parasitic action that feeds on the innate respect society holds for its wounded warriors. This brings us to how Lee monetized his lie.
Absolutely. It is a despicable thing to claim that you have been through what all those gentlemen have actually been through. All those ladies have always been have been through. It's despicable. There's nothing you can say to make that okay. Solomon discussed the before and the after. You had a normal life, and then all of a sudden, you didn't. Some people cannot come back from the damage that they've actually had done because of these horrible, traumatic experiences. But again, I just want to point out that likely this guy Malibu has been through an entire lifetime. He looks like he's in his 40s. I don't know how old he is. An entire lifetime of trauma to a degree. I'm not saying it's as harsh as what people who once had a normal life, who now cannot live the same, have gone through. I'm not. But I am saying that if he was born this way, and he's been dealing with this since birth, essentially, he doesn't know a normal life. Okay? I don't know, again, if he's looked like this in his entire life. I can only make an educated guess that likely he has. And so, very likely, he never had a normal life to a degree. And so he was trying to find some normality. Did he claim that the falling down this, did he rebrand the him getting drunk and falling down the steps as the IED incident? I don't see how he necessarily rebranded it. Even if he never got drunk and fell down the steps, very likely he would have started telling people, oh yeah, I got a blast to the face. Very likely he would have just did it anyway. I don't think he was necessarily trying to rebrand, but I mean, who knows? Why would he try to rebrand that and not, it's the same thing as just lying. So I don't think he was trying to rebrand. I think he was trying to save himself from continuing to have a lifetime of agony because of the way he looks, which is a shame in itself. You guys let me know what you think in the comments.
Now that I'm here, I officially signed with ProSubs. I'm part of the family. You guys are part of the journey, and I can't wait for the future, what it has for all of us.
Lee built a highly profitable, expansive digital enterprise on top of his fabrication. The lie was used as a dual-purpose tool. First, it acted as an impenetrable shield against criticism. Anyone who questioned Lee's appearance could immediately be shut down by his fiercely loyal followers, who believed they were defending a wounded war hero. Second, it acted as a massive magnet for engagement. It attracted sponsorships from supplement companies and apparel brands that wanted to align themselves with his inspirational story. The ethical breach here isn't just the lying. It's the sustained financial exploitation of that lie. Lee extracted tangible, real-world wealth and status from a well of sympathy he had absolutely no right to draw from.
This is absolutely the case. He used the story in order to gain money and followers and some type of notoriety. Very likely, he didn't really see anything wrong with it because he probably thought no one would ever know, right? So he was able to capitalize on this disgusting lie. He was able to capitalize on it. But at the same time, he was likely thinking, this is my chance to actually be appreciated by people for someone more than what I look like. I'm just guessing. He's probably lived his entire life being mistreated because of his looks. And so he said, you know what? This is my time. This is my time. I might actually be able to be seen as someone more than my face. And so, yes, he's making money off it. Is he happy he's making money? Of course he is. probably making a ton of money. But at the same time, he's probably also thinking, people like me now. People like me now. You know, where no one's probably ever liked him or gave him the time of day in the past. So, you know, there's the bit of nuance there that I feel like Solomon and many people could touch on. But they're not. And I don't know if that's because people have not been through trauma. People have not been through injuries. They don't know how to put themselves in another person's place. Or maybe they're just so offended by the disgusting lie, which is understandable, that they have no time of day to be thinking about that stuff. And I get it. That I can understand. So, you know, but there are two sides to a coin at the end of the day. And I feel like this is likely the other side of the coin.
When we place Lee's lie within the specific context of the fitness industry, the psychology behind it, while still abhorrent, becomes slightly more understandable. The fitness influencer space is an ecosystem built on a baseline of deception. We see this constantly with the epidemic of the fake natty. We have countless creators who build massive followings and sell expensive workout programs by claiming their physiques are the result of chicken, broccoli, and hard work.
Again, Solomon is on point. And when I first heard of this Malibu dude, I was thinking, this dude's like everybody else in the space who's just lying about the way they look in order to gain something. How can you not make that correlation? You have so many. There's a reason, guys. There's a reason why I don't go posting about myself on Instagram. Don't go posting about myself on YouTube, showing you guys my physique in detail and, promoting myself essentially. See, when we trained on this channel, we did a reaction when NDO Champ was training with Scala. Excellent video. Excellent information in that video. Watch it, guys. If you want to see what real training is, that is a motivational video. I recommend you watch it. As long as you don't mind some cursing and stuff, because, they go crazy in there. But anyway, the point is, in that video, NDO Champ specifically said, we are building a physique. We are building a product that you are going to sell. He was talking about their bodies. We're building a product of which you are going to sell. That's the whole influencer, gym, fitness culture these days. You see someone look the way they look, and then you automatically say, they must know what they're doing. So you're buying them now. You're paying them. You're showing them respect because of the way they look, the outside, not the inside. And so there's a reason why I don't go showing pictures of myself, trying to promote myself. There's a reason. And the reason why is because I want you guys to appreciate me for the way I speak and what I have to say. Don't look at who I am on the outside. Look at me for what I have to say. You know how many people come in the comments every day on my videos and they say, oh, who the hell are you? You're over here. I just had one the other day. I mean, it's every day. Who the hell are you? You're over here critiquing how diamond gym guys train. Meanwhile, you look the way you look. They literally tell you in their videos, don't train like us. This does not produce results. But then you have airheads like that coming onto the channel saying, look at their results from training like this. You look like that. You shouldn't even be talking. Because they don't listen to the words that come out of my mouth. You guys will very likely, if you go through my videos, not find one single thing that I've told you that is not scientifically backed or even substantiated by actual training. Actually doing it. I try to give you guys good information, solid information that's going to help you grow. That's going to help you be healthier. That's going to help you be happier, help your self-confidence. I try to give you guys that. And all without me showing you the way I look, not because I'm ashamed of the way I look. It's because I want you guys to hear what I'm saying and appreciate the value for what it is. I could be 150 pounds saying the same thing, or I could be 300 pounds saying the same thing. The information is what matters. Does the information check out? Hani Rambod. He's trained in the past. He's never won an Olympia last I checked. But people show him respect. The man has good information. I have to say he does. There's many bad things about him. But at the end of the day, the information he's given you is very quality. 95% of the time, in my opinion. But he's not the biggest guy in the room by any means. It's the information. So, that's the thing. That's the thing. Malibu was hiding behind his looks because he wants you to hear what's inside of him. He was hiding behind the lie. He was hiding behind the lie because he wants you to see past his face and see inside of him. I'm not making excuses. What he did was wrong. But that's the way I see it.
Similarly, the industry is rife with influencers claiming that their physiques are the result of special glute exercises, completely omitting that they've had Brazilian butt lifts or other cosmetic surgeries. Lee's lie, in a twisted way, is an extreme mutation of this exact same instinct. Just as fake natties lie about their chemical enhancement to boost their brand and ego, Lee used a fabricated war story that built a highly profitable Wounded Warrior brand. Both require a willingness to lie to millions of people and happily accept their money and adoration based on a fraudulent premise. Lee simply took the industry's baseline dishonesty and didn't seem to mind crossing the line into stolen valor. But perhaps the most fascinating aspect of this entire saga is the fallout within his own community. When Lee finally posted his apology video, naturally, a large portion of his community was outraged.
What were you thinking about the situation with this guy?
I have a friend who's a double amputee because of an IED. A select few people who can never gain anything back. My friend lost his limbs. He can't even grow his shit back.
But if you scrolled through the comments section of his apology video, you'd find an equally impressive number of his followers immediately rushing to his defense. They left comments praising his bravery for coming clean, lauding his accountability and stating that we all make mistakes and we still love you, brother. You have to look at that comment section and ask, do people really not care? Are people genuinely willing to forgive him, even when the apology itself contains further demonstrable lies about the timeline of the deception?
Is it really that people don't care? But it genuinely could be, because we're living in a culture where people screw up, they lie on purpose, they deceive, and then after that, they just give an apology, and the world forgives them many times, right? So we've seen this happen a million times. It's disgusting, it's despicable, and all this crap, right? But the fact remains that are these people looking beyond his face, looking at his personality, Malibu's, and saying, look, you screwed up, but I could see you're a decent person, or I think you're a decent person. You shouldn't have did what you did, but look, we still love you. Maybe they see what I'm seeing, that the guy's probably had a horrible life looking the way he looks, and they feel pity for him. Is that a free pass to do whatever you want wrong? Absolutely freaking not. Absolutely not. But maybe those people are liars themselves, and so they see another liar and they're like, oh, let me support my crew. Or maybe they actually genuinely are like, look, the guy screwed up. I kind of can see why maybe he said this, because he's embarrassed about the way he looks. He felt like no one would give him a chance otherwise. And so he, out of desperation, said what he said. I don't know. You guys tell me.
We have evidence that Lee was pitching this fabricated trauma to a reporter in 2016. Yet a massive segment of his audience is perfectly happy to accept his excuse that this was just a momentary lapse in judgment brought on by sudden internet fame. I think to understand that wave of sympathy, we have to appreciate the power of the myth that Lee created. Lee tapped into an archetype that people naively or genuinely want to believe in. He gave them a movie character. He's the wounded warrior turned fitness star. He was charismatic and played the smiling Mr. America perfectly. When you give an audience a character who makes them feel that good, the audience will staunchly protect it. When people come along to expose the truth, the audience's first instinct is to resent the detractors for ruining the illusion and killing the positive energy.
While what Solomon is saying could be the case about how people don't want to believe what they're hearing, I don't think that's the case. I don't think it's the case. I don't think people are that entrenched in this whole thing. Maybe I'm wrong. I would like to think that people are better than that. And I would like to think that the reason why some people are still like, we love you and still appreciate you, man, thanks for apologizing or whatever, is because they see beyond it. They see the positivity. They see the man who he was probably trying to be. And they forgive him for everything that he did because they understand why he was doing it. I hope that's the reason. I hope it's not the case that people are sitting there like thinking, my bubble's been popped and I can't let that happen. So they're lying about Malibu. Malibu ain't that bad. I hope that ain't the case. I don't think it's the case. I really don't. You tell me, what do you guys think about this? This is important, guys. When you leave your comments, you enlighten me and everybody else in the audience, and that's what it's about. Your comments matter. I have some people saying, Joe, I'm so sorry that I comment so much. Are you crazy? No, bro. No, girl. Comment as much as you want. I don't care if you agree with me or not. Do so respectfully and give your opinions, give your thoughts, because you're opening my eyes and everybody else's eyes. Your words are power. Do it. Comment. Let me know what you think.
They get mad at the investigators for revealing the deception instead of getting mad at the influencer for committing it. And even when they're forced to concede that those spiteful voices are correct, they're inclined to forgiveness, as if following the biblical precept of not throwing the first stone. But no matter how entertaining the myth is, we have to accept reality. If we prioritize a soothing illusion over the truth, then we devalue the sympathy that should belong exclusively to the men and women who actually deserve it. Having your favorite internet hero exposed is an uncomfortable experience, but we can't abandon our obligation to the truth just because the liar was charismatic. This brings us to the final question. What does real accountability actually look like? At the end of his apology video, Lee stated, "Trust is earned. It's not owed." What does earning that trust actually look like after a decade of deception? Is it a matter of taking a few months off social media and returning with a rebrand? Is it donating a large portion of his supplement sponsorships to a veterans charity? Or does a lie of this magnitude permanently disqualify someone from holding the privilege of a massive public platform? If an influencer is willing to look you in the eye and lie about taking an explosive device to the face in a combat zone, then what else is he willing to lie about?
So Solomon mentioned something very important. Does he deserve a second chance? That's basically, I think, what Solomon is saying here. Does he deserve a second chance? Is his chance over? Did he screw it up? Should he take some time off? Rebrand? I need to know what you guys think about this. Personally, if he was actually sorry, he would make more than a 60-second apology video like he did on Instagram. That's number one. Number two, I would say he gives up all of his other supplements, all of his brand deals, gives them up, and starts from scratch again. Start new again. By doing so, you will prove that you're actually sorry, or you have the opportunity as well to go ahead and continue along the path that you're doing, and as Solomon mentioned, give all of the funds that you make while hopefully still growing your brand, which is, whether that should happen or not, I don't really know, but for a good purpose. Continue to grow, capitalize on the fact that you've lied. I lied to you and I'm doing better today. How am I doing better today? Subscribe to me to watch me do better today. All the money that you spend on my channel is going to the veterans. All the money that you spend is going to people who need surgeries, who've gone through issues. That, I think, means that you can avoid having to stop and rebrand and all that. You don't deserve the money. You don't deserve it. Malibu does not deserve the money, but I do think he deserves the love for people who appreciate who he is. And if he can turn around the fact that he lied and do something good with it, that's another story. But if you can't do that and you're not willing to do that, you should absolutely sever all the ties to the industry and just do something else, bro. But never forget, even if you do something else, what you've done in the past. And don't try to act like it didn't happen. You gotta, you took the valor of others and you used it for clout and for other reasons, right? Don't act like you can stop talking about that. The world's not going to forget. The world will not forget, dude. So that's my thoughts. Put everything towards a good cause and use your notoriety that you have now in a way that's going to help others who deserve the help. He doesn't deserve the help at this point. But I do think he deserves the positivity because at the end of the day, the guy's probably been through a ton of stuff in his life that causes him to not be right here or here. And, you know, when people screw up, are you going to give them the opportunity to do better? I feel like everyone needs that opportunity. If not, what's it all about? Where's the forgiveness? So I'm not saying forgive and forget. I'm not saying to forgive and not hold him accountable. But I am saying that forgiveness to some degree needs to happen because we all make mistakes and we all want to be forgiven. So that's just what I think.
The truth is, trust is earned. But when the foundation of that trust is revealed to be a 10-year charade of stolen valor, perhaps the most accountable thing a creator can do is recognize that some trust, once shattered so completely, can never be earned back. The story of Lee Markham, or Malibu Fit Maxx, serves as a stark reminder of how easily our empathy and respect can be exploited by a charismatic creator looking to build a brand. We've walked through the false claims of surviving a catastrophic IED blast in Afghanistan and the reality of a drunken fall outside a barracks in South Korea. We've seen the official military documents that dismantle his narrative. We've critically examined an apology that attempted to minimize a decade of deception into a momentary lapse in judgment. And finally, we've seen just how hard it is for people to let go of a myth they love, but why it's preferable to put the truth ahead of a comforting lie. Lee Markham's fabricated combat story served as the perfect marketing hook in a crowded influencer space. Lee stole valor to accelerate his brand. The genuine sacrifices of the men and women who actually bear the physical and psychological scars of war were appropriated for lucrative sponsorships, a massive follow account, and algorithm placement.
See, that's the thing. He didn't lie just to grow his brand because we know he's been doing this for 10 years already. He's been doing this as a way for self-protection. So while in this instance he profited off of his lie, absolutely, he has not been trying to profit off of it for all these years from what I can tell. So it's not accurate to say that's why he said it. He's been saying it back when he was getting no clout from it online. So putting it like that, I believe, is a little bit not accurate, but you guys let me know.
Lee Markham stated that trust is earned and not owed. It's now up to the fitness community and the veteran community to decide if a decade-long charade of stolen valor is a breach of trust that can ever truly be repaired, or if this is the end of the Malibu Fit Maxx platform.
All right, guys, so another excellently done video by Solomon. I am so impressed with this guy. I think he's phenomenal. And I think he really puts a lot of research and time and effort. Give him a like. Subscribe to his channel, only if you like his stuff. I'm not telling you what to do. But I subscribe to him. I think he's great. And I feel like he's just no bull. You know what I mean? He's honest. So excellent points given by him, by Solomon. I hope that I was able to add something to his analysis, something of value. Again, I am not looking to, this is a touchy subject. I'm not looking to offend anybody. Never once in this video. I just want to recap. Did I say what this man Malibu did was okay? It's not. But I do think that there's something that we're not seeing, because when we see something on the face, we don't realize that it has depth. And that's the whole idea. When people saw his face, they didn't look past it. And so you always hear, I don't know if you guys have heard this in the past. I've heard this a million times in the past. You hear people saying, oh, you know, if an ugly guy did that to this girl, he'd be in prison right now. But since this guy looks like this, he got away with it. Now he's got a date tonight. You know what I'm saying? That's kind of what the reality is of this world. It's very superficial. It's very shallow many times. And so I feel like he got the short end of the stick, made a bad decision to try to protect his heart and his mind. And, you know, he ended up blowing up and profiting off of it and then getting exposed. So he needs to fix it. Hopefully we see him fix it with more than a 60-second video and actually try to make amends or just stop altogether. You guys let me know what you think in the comments. Thank you so much for watching, guys. Thank you so much for the support. Please feel free to like and subscribe to support this channel. These videos take a lot of time and effort. I do them for you because you guys appreciate them, and I find value in making your lives better if I can. Thank you for welcoming me into your homes, to your family's eyes and ears. It's an honor and a privilege that I never want to take for granted. Thank you so much. See you all at the next video.